Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome to another round of Championship predictions. And here we are, the Easter weekend. This is the real crunch time now. This is when you want to really find your form. 2 games in the space of 3-4 days. It's 6 points at stake. It's across all divisions. This is the moment. This is the time of the season now when it really matters to get the form right and to clinch the prize you've been chasing or trying to chase for the last 8-9 months. It just feels the most exciting phase of the season. 8 games to go for most teams, or 8-9 games to go maybe for most teams. A real phase of the season when you've got to pick up those points, reach out and grab that prize, as I say. So looking forward to the weekend. 2 full Championship fixture lists on both, one on Friday, and then another one on Monday. So I'll be just taking you through the Friday games to start with. And they're across all day. They start off at 12:30 and finish at 8 o'clock at night, the kickoff time UK time. So it's a full on day, and the same again on Monday, exactly the same period of kickoff times. So Friday games, here we go. And first up, it's the televised game between Bristol City and Leicester City. Bristol City just treading water completely. They had that little win, but it was it's just a sort of an oasis of fortune in what's been a pretty miserable run, really, since they beat Southampton, if you remember, knocking them off that long unbeaten perch. However, they are not really clicking at all at the moment under their newish manager, Liam Manning. Getting in a bit of flack from the fans now, unfortunately. That's the nature of football. If you don't win games, then you come under pressure quite quickly. So Bristol City against Leicester City. Leicester, unfortunate against Chelsea, I think we can all agree. Gave it a real good go, being 2-0 down. It looked as if it could have been a cakewalk, but Chelsea being Chelsea, let Leicester back in with a comedy own goal, wasn't it, if you remember. So we all had a smile at that. Leicester got back in the game, but then 2 late goals. In the end, Chelsea just did enough to overpower them. So away we go. Back into league action. I think, although it'll be a tough game for Leicester, because Ashton Gate, full house, and they seem to raise their game, and they shouldn't have to. They should be raising it all the time, but they seem to raise their game against the better sides, having beat Southampton, having pushed Ipswich all the way. And I think they will give Leicester a decent run. But I think Leicester will shake themselves down and think, well, come on, we've been knocked off the top now. We're doing the chasing all of a sudden. The pressure's all on Leeds. So they will go to Ashton Gate, I think, and chalk up a 2-1 win in front of the cameras. Bristol City 1, Leicester City 2. Then we go down to a 1 o'clock kickoff, Millwall versus West Brom. West Brom had a pretty routine 2-0 win over Bristol City last time out. They just don't concede many goals. 36 conceded in 38 matches is absolutely testament to where their real lies there, doesn't it? That tells you where their forte is in defence. They're well behind all of the other teams in the top 6 by goals scored, so they rely on their defence, and I think they'll rely on it successfully again on Friday lunchtime, and it'll be Millwall, who had a sort of they were put away by Leeds 2-0 quite straightforwardly. So and I think West Brom, although Millwall have shown a little bit of form to get out that relegation area, they've only lost 1 of their last 5. I think it will be Millwall 0, West Bromwich Albion 1. Then we go to Cardiff versus Sunderland. Cardiff, of course, lost out in the South Wales derby. Sunderland dug out their first point for ages, what seems like ages, against QPR, didn't they? 0-0. Sunderland are in a bit of a mess. They've, as I say, all the teams that have changed managers, it isn't healthy for football, for the dressing room. And it's proving to be the case in nearly all the cases that have changed their manager this season. None of them are really showing much form at all. Sunderland definitely in a bit of a mess. 4 losses in 5, managed to get a 0-0. I think they will go down to Cardiff, but Cardiff will, and give them a game, but Cardiff will come out on top. It'll be Cardiff City 2, Sunderland 1. And then we have Huddersfield versus Coventry. Huddersfield, surprisingly, although they're down the bottom, they still surprisingly only drew 0-0 with Rotherham in the last match, which was disappointing for them because Rotherham were really under the cosh, weren't they? 2 5-0 losses prior to that game. So they kept a clean sheet. Hats off to them for doing that. And they're playing Coventry, and we just top our cup to Coventry as the Championship representatives in the FA Cup. Brilliant win against Wolves. Really, really good to watch that match. 2 goals in the last in injury time or stoppage time, as there seems to be acres of stoppage time these days. But I think they'll be held at Huddersfield. Huddersfield will probably want, they'll be really steeling themselves not to lose this one. It's a tough game for Coventry, so I'm going Huddersfield Town 1, Coventry City 1 in that one. And next we have Hull City versus Stoke City. Hull had no game, so they've had a real good break. They've been somewhere sunny, perhaps. It's been horrible weather in the UK, so they may have been away on a training camp or something, and perhaps they're nicely refreshed for their push for that top 6. They're 3 points behind Norwich, but have that game in hand that the FA Cup sort of gave them, if you like. And Stoke were comprehensively beaten by Norwich in the last match. I think they'll get beaten again by the playoff hopefuls Hull. Stoke obviously still very much looking over their shoulders at 41 points. However, I do think Hull will come back refreshed 2 weeks away, start this final, last vital phase of the season, as I say, the exciting ones. This is when you really draw, your mettle. You pull it out. If you've really got it, got that desire to get the prize, you've got to do it now. And this weekend is so pivotal with 6 points at stake in quick-fire style. So I'm going to take Hull to take this match. Hull City to beat Stoke and they'll take it by 2-0. Next we have Norwich against Plymouth. Plymouth are struggling now because they're starting to lose at home, which is not good news for them because that's been their prop for what they've been leaning on for most of the season is their home record. And they were booed off in the last home defeat, or the last game, which was a home defeat to Preston. Manager getting some bit of flack as well. So it's all a bit sour down at Plymouth at the moment. Norwich, meanwhile, owning the 6th spot at the moment on 61 points, ticking along quite nicely. And I think they'll keep ticking on Friday. And they will beat Plymouth away, and it'll be Norwich City 3, Plymouth Argyle 1. Then we have a dogged-looking game on paper, I have to say. Preston North End versus Rotherham. However, Preston had that 1-0 win down at Plymouth. Again, they've got a bit to do. 5 points to make up, but again, a game in hand. Because of the fire at Southampton, if you remember. That's where their game in hand has come from. So they're playing Rotherham. Now, I don't know whether Rotherham's goalless or clean sheet was just something that they conjured up from somewhere in that one match, whether they can extend it again and give Preston a real test. We shall see. I'm going to take Preston to, let's say sneak it, but just take it with a routine 2-0 win. I think a routine win and keep them in the playoff picture. So I'm going to go Preston North End 2, Rotherham 0. Then we have, possibly in my view, one of the games of the day. Obviously for the wrong reasons, simply for the clubs involved, but it is Queen's Park Rangers versus Birmingham City. Now, Birmingham City, going back to what I was saying a few moments ago about managers, change of managers not doing clubs any good health in football, are now on their 6th changing room manager of the season. Okay, 1 or 2 of those have been stopgaps while they've changed manager, but it's their 6th voice in the. They've got back Gary Rowett I think, till the end of the season to bridge this gap where unfortunately Tony Mowbray is recovering from illness, which is a shame because he was just getting things slightly going there. However, here we are, Birmingham. Remember, they were, I've said this before, and I'm a bit of a stuck record PP, but 6th or 7th, I think they were when they sacked John Eustace back before Christmas for the sort of the package of Wayne Rooney that turned up. It was all very unfortunate, really. And now Birmingham, 4 losses in the last 5, 3 on the trot. Just goal difference, and only 2 goal difference, keeping them above Huddersfield from going in the bottom 3. So they're down at QPR, immediately above them. What a match! So much at stake. It may just drift a little bit. They just won't want to give each other that lift that a win would provide. However, it's a real one of these 6-pointer phrases that we get used in football this time around. QPR, of course, only lost 1 in 5. So they may just surprise Birmingham. Not surprise Birmingham, but I just think they will carry on that sort of slightly decent run of results. So I'm going to go Queen's Park Rangers 2, Birmingham City 1 on that one. Let's see what happens. So 4 more games to go, and still two more 3 o'clocks, and it's Sheffield Wednesday versus Swansea City. Now, Sheffield Wednesday, unfortunately, as we know, got put away by Ipswich by 6-0. And Swansea, fresh from their success in the South Wales derby, so they'll be full of confidence, you would think, although they've had 2 weeks to sort of get that out of the system. Either way, and so have Sheffield Wednesday come for that matter, and they really do need to steel themselves now, no pun intended to the Steel City, but they've really got to pull it together if they're to have any chance now recover from that loss, a big loss, damage their goal difference, but so that's completely out of the equation now. They've got to get the points to get above any of the sides above them. 38 points, point behind, but three wins out of 5. A couple of losses in the last game, so they're not. They were just showing a bit of form, weren't they? I think they'll get something. I think the home crowd will sort of push them towards something out of the match. So I'm going to go Sheffield Wednesday 1, Swansea City 1. Then down to the south coast for the final 3 o'clock, Southampton versus Middlesbrough. Southampton had a long break, haven't they? No game because of the FA Cup and the international break. And just before that, they were fire, and they managed to get a game in somewhere, I think, between all of that. So they are looking a little bit now like playoff certainties. 9 points, even with a game in hand and stuff, is a little bit too much, I think, now. They've been really entertaining for us, and so have Ipswich come to that matter. But I'm not just singling Southampton now, but they have been entertainers. I see more often because I'm in their local zone, I suppose. I see more of their newsreels, so they're more in my mind. I think they'll score more goals. I think Middlesbrough now really are just ticking the boxes down to the end of the season. They've had some decent results lately, 3 wins and a draw in the last 4. But I think Southampton will take the honours, score a few more goals, get back on track in that way, and it'll be Southampton 3, Middlesbrough 0. Then we have 2 more evening games on Friday evening. Blackburn versus Ipswich. Ipswich, fresh from 6-0, really turned their season around. Not turned it round, it was never going off track, was it really? But they did have that wobble a few weeks ago around the Maidstone game, and a couple of league losses that seemed to be a reaction to that. Then they came up against Bristol City and they're 2-1 down with 10 minutes to go and turned it round, and that seems to have fired them up again back into their top form, and they've done fantastically well. 4 wins out of 5, maybe a better equation than that. So a lot of green W's next to their name at the moment. I think there'll be another one on Friday evening. Not a cakewalk by any means, but I think I'm going to go Blackburn 1, Ipswich Town 2. And finally, last but not least, we have Watford against Leeds United. Leeds United put Millwall away quite comfortably last time out. They're now going down to Watford, who treading water a little bit mid-table. Did manage to squeak a first win for a while against Birmingham last time out, but we all know what Birmingham are going through at the moment, quite sadly. So I think it will be a routine win for Leeds. They'll go down there, top of the league, puff their chests out, and try and keep that spot, even though obviously it's not they're a game played more, but nevertheless, as I've said before, whatever you are at the moment, if you're ahead, whether you've got a game more played more or not, if you're forcing the other teams to have to win at this time of the season, it's a very good option to have. And that's what Leeds are doing, saying, come and chase us to Leicester and Ipswich. So I think it will be the final game on Friday will be a routine win for the league leaders. They may not be league leaders by the time they kick off. They could be third. But it'll be Watford 0, Leeds United 3. So there we have it. Good Friday. It's going to be the start of a fantastic weekend with these games thick and fast over this period. Oh, it's almost like a Christmas again, isn't it? And the championship table is as tight and as exciting as it has been since day one of the season, I guess. So we shall see where we are come Saturday morning. And we'll do another review of the Monday games over the weekend, reflecting on that set of results. And it just remains me to say I hope you have a peaceful and happy Easter weekend for those who celebrate it. And I will see you again very soon for this part 2 of the Easter Championship programme.